Welcome to Coffee with Viking. I am Mike. Cheers. Jerusalem survives Assyria's siege. 2 Kings 19:35 and 36. That night the angel of the Lord went out to the Assyrian camp and killed 185,000 Assyrian soldiers. When the surviving Assyrians woke up the next morning, they found corpses everywhere. Then King Sennacherib of Assyria broke camp and returned to his home into his own land. About 20 years after Assyria wiped the Jerusalem Jewish nation off the map, they get an invitation from the southern Jewish nation of Judah for an encore performance with a slight change of venue. Assyria's king Sargon is dead. He died in a battle in 705 BC. His son Sennacherib takes a few years to get settled onto the throne and to consolidate his power base. During that time, several nations decide to rebel against Assyria by withholding their annual tax. These nations include Judah, Tyre, Philistia, and Egypt. Sennacherib mobilizes his army in 701 BC and marches southwest. His own records, preserved on a clay prism, confirm that Bible's report of the invasion. I approached Ekron, a Philistine city 25 miles west of Jerusalem, and killed the governors and nobles and who rebelled and hung their bodies on stakes around the city. In Judah, he says he took out 46 walled cities, saving Jerusalem for last, while Sennacherib is finishing off Lachish, about 30 miles southwest of Jerusalem. Judah's king decides it's time to surrender. The king is Hezekiah, described in the Bible as the most godly king in Judah's nearly 350-year history. There was no one like him among all the kings of Judah, either before or after his time. 2 Kings 18:5. Hezekiah sends his apologies for the rebellion in attempting to negotiate an end to the violence. Hezekiah offers to pay whatever Sennacherib demands in exchange for an Assyrian withdrawal. Sennacherib's price, more than 1 ton of gold and 11 tons of silver. That's roughly $17 million in gold and $3 million in silver on today's market, when gold sells at $550 an ounce and silver sells for $10 an ounce. To cover that bill, Hezekiah empties the palace's treasury and pulls gold from the massive temple doors. Sennacherib apparently accepts the payment, but continues his vengeful crusade. He drives off an Egyptian army charging to Judah's rescue. Then he surrounds Jerusalem outside the city wall, and a Syrian spokesman yells up to the people, "Don't listen to Hezekiah when he tries to mislead you by saying the Lord will rescue us. What God of any nation has ever been able to save its people from my power. So what makes you think that the Lord can rescue Jerusalem from me?" 2 Kings 18:32 and 35. The prophet Isaiah, trapped inside the city with Hezekiah, has a word from God for the brash Assyrian king. "I will make you return by the same road on which you came. 2 Kings 19:28. The next morning, Assyrian soldiers, lucky enough to wake up, find themselves among 185,000 dead comrades. Sennacherib gives the order to break camp and head for home, probably by the same road on which they came. On this side note, Jerusalem saved by the bubonic plague. What killed 185,000 Assyrian soldiers who were laying siege to Jerusalem? The angel of the Lord, says the Bible in 2 Kings 19:35. Rats, say some Bible experts. The angel of the Lord is a metaphor. They argue it's a way of saying God was behind the attack that saved Jerusalem. About 250 years ago, the disaster several centuries before the Bible was compiled. A Greek historian named Herodotus wrote that Sennacherib's army was stopped one night by a rat infestation. Rats ate holes in the equipment and killed many soldiers. Perhaps this took place at Jerusalem. Some Bible experts say the rats probably brought with them diseases such as the bubonic plague. Caged king. As per Hezekiah reports, the Assyrian king Sennacherib, on his 2,700-year-old clay prism, I made him a prisoner in Jerusalem, like a bird in a cage. I surrounded him. The battlefield brag stops short of claiming the Assyrians took Jerusalem, a restraint that substantiates the Bible's report that God drove off the Assyrians. And there's a picture of the Now, the Jerusalem was saved by what they believed to be a rat infestation that brought the bubonic plague. Now, God, we all know, can use anything to help us. Even to this day. Stay blessed. Stay caffeinated. Much love.